Super Mario Bros. Holds a special place in my heart as one of the first games I've ever played, so I decided to recreate it in 3D in Unreal Engine with realistic graphics, and here's how I made it. For our Mario model, I started off by grabbing a 3D model from Sketchfab. Using the Mixamo's Auto Rigger, I rigged the model and added some animations like running, jumping and crouching. I started off by creating a simple project where Mario can move left and right using the arrow keys. Now let's spruce up the level a bit by introducing some elements like blocks, pipes and some distant mountains for some scenic backdrop. Now let's start adding some functionality to our Mario game, starting with power-ups. The power-up logic is straightforward. If the Mario is small and consumes the power-up, he grows in size. On the other hand, if he is already big and consumes the power-up, we simply switch his mesh to shooter mesh. We'll be integrating the shooter functionality at a later stage. So this is the basic implementation inside the Mario class. Let's implement this in our game and see how it works. Let's add some enemies to our game. So let's start with Goombas, and Goomba logic is quite simple. So I just added a mesh and there's a box on top of Goomba where if we overlap with the box, we destroy the Goomba, or we overlap with the mesh, we handle Mario's death by decreasing the life and doing some other things. Let's implement this in our code and see how that works. Now let's implement the Koopas. Koopa logic is quite similar, but there are 3 stages for Koopas to be in. First is the normal stage where they are walking. Second is the shell stage where they are static. And third is what I call the shell move stage where they move at a very fast pace and destroy everything on their way. Let's create an enum called Koopa stage and code the logic for each of the stages and see how it works. Let's implement some blocks logic in Unreal Engine. Block is quite simple and it changes based on the Mario state. If the Mario is small, the block just moves up and down, but if the Mario is big, we destroy the block and spawn some particles to make it look like an explosion. Let's implement that logic in our game. Now that's working as intended, let's move on and add some logic to our pipes. Whenever we crouch on top of a pipe in Super Mario Bros., we teleport to a different pipe in the level. To implement this in our game, we'll be referencing another pipe in the level called exit pipe. And when we crouch on top of the pipe, we'll be teleporting our Mario to the exit pipe's location. Now let's just implement that in our code and check to see how that works. Now let's go back and implement the fireball logic when our Mario is in the fireball mode. First thing the fireball has to do is move in the direction the Mario is facing. Next we'll add the up and down movement of the fireball, and at last we'll add the impact effects when it hits the enemy. Let's create a new fireball class and add the projectile movement component to it so it moves as a projectile. To make the fireball move in the direction the Mario is facing, we get the Mario's forward vector and multiply by the velocity at which the fireball should move. To make our projectiles move up and down smoothly, we use a special height limit. When the fireball reaches this limit, we gently bring it down until it reaches the ground, and once it touches the ground, we start moving up again, creating a continuous up and down motion. Now let's add the final flagpole that Mario slides down at the end of the level. To achieve this, as soon as Mario hits the pipe, we set his gravity to 0 and smoothly decrease Mario's height at a constant speed. Different points are awarded based on the Mario's position when hitting the pole. Okay, now that we have all the major elements for our game, let's design our first level. I tried to match the iconic 1-1 as closely as possible to the original game. designed the other 4 levels, keeping in mind the capture of essence and mood for each of the levels. Now that we have all 4 levels designed, it's finally time to introduce our final boss, Bowser. We'll be incorporating animations for the Bowser and introducing some AI logic. Let's code the logic and add the animation, and finally implement some fireball logic for Bowser and give it a playthrough. Okay, now that we've covered all the mechanics, let's dive in and play the game and see how it feels. I added some pop-up widgets that show points when collecting power-ups or destroying enemies. And I also added some of the secret levels that you can uncover while entering some of the pipes. And as a final step, I decided to add the star functionality for the Mario, where Mario becomes immune to enemies when he consumes his star. After numerous attempts and countless game overs, it became clear to me that this level was a little bit too challenging. So I decided to tweak the level a little by bringing the trees a little closer and changing the speed of the moving platforms. After a bit of tinkering and maybe a bit of cheating by giving myself a checkpoint, I was able to complete the level. At the climax of our game, I added this exploding bridge and Princess Peach waiting for Mario at the end of the level. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please leave an upvote. I plan on making my first commercial game and release it on Steam, and I want to make videos on the development process of it. So if you'd like to follow me along on that journey, please consider subscribing to my channel. See you all in the next video. Bye bye.